There are 4 quarterbacks that in 2024 in the NFL put themselves on a different caliber, a different level than anyone else. You can argue about the order in which these 4 quarterbacks should be ranked, but beyond a shadow of a doubt, these are the 4 best quarterbacks in the NFL. My personal ranking, number 1, Patrick Mahomes. He has won 3 Super Bowls. He has won 3 MVPs. He is the best quarterback in the NFL. At the top of the best team, 15-1 Kansas City Chiefs, who are the favorite to win the Super Bowl yet again. Patrick Mahomes, best quarterback in the NFL. In second place, in my opinion, Josh Allen. I actually think Josh Allen has had the best season running, passing, and relative to record, which the quarterback has a lot to do with, and also relative to weapons that the quarterback has, of any quarterback in the NFL this year. Now, Mahomes hasn't had great receivers. I've got him 1 overall. I think he's the best. I don't think he had the best season that he's had. Josh Allen did. Josh Allen, to me, unquestioned MVP. You got morons like Ryan Clark at ESPN trying to argue for Lamar Jackson. I'll talk about that. But Josh Allen, no MVPs he's ever won, has had as good of a start to his career as any quarterback in the history of the NFL. And he is, in my opinion, the single best quarterback in the NFL this particular season. But I've got him second best overall when you consider multiple seasons. Mahomes 1, Josh Allen 2. Third place, Lamar Jackson. Ryan Clark, who is one of those people at ESPN that engages in racial divisiveness and identity politics. He's basically Carlton without the great dance moves. He is who's the guy from 8 Mile who went to Cranbrook? Clarence. He's Clarence. He's desperately insecure inside of his own skin, and so he feels the need to constantly tell you what his race is. That's Ryan Clark in general. Unfortunately, ESPN pays him. He's not particularly talented at anything. He said he would debate anyone, anytime, any place. I said I would debate him. He didn't respond. I would wipe the floor with that guy. I think his career would be over if we sat and talked for an hour and actually debated issues in the country. And I think he knows it, which is why he won't do it. He's ultimately a coward and he's insecure. But he's trying to put his own racial insecurity into Lamar Jackson as his Trojan horse. Look, Lamar Jackson's had an incredible year. You know who he's handing off to this year? Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry, trust me, has made a lot of bad quarterbacks, Ryan Tannehill, look like they're all-pro quarterbacks. Ryan Tannehill had no career until he started being able to hand off to Derrick Henry, and then he turned into a $100 million quarterback. You think that's coincidental? Miami Dolphins said, we're done with you. Why is Derrick Henry such a threat? Because every time you fake a play-action handoff to Derrick Henry, everybody on the entire field reacts. And if you need a first down, Derrick Henry is maybe the best in the NFL at getting it. So Derrick Henry's close to 2,000 yards rushing this year, which is why I think Lamar Jackson has had a far better passing year than ever in his history, and nobody talks about it. Don't you have to give Derrick Henry a little bit of credit? He's the greatest running back of his generation. Lamar Jackson is the best quarterback he's ever played with, but he was good enough to make Ryan Tannehill an all-pro. He was good enough to get Ryan Tannehill $100 million. Without Derrick Henry, Ryan Tannehill's entire quarterback career is worthless. With Derrick Henry, Lamar Jackson has become the best passing version of himself that he's ever been. This is not coincidental. I predicted it before the season started. But that is why I have Lamar Jackson at third and why I have Josh Allen as the MVP, because Lamar Jackson has far better weapons at his disposal than Josh Allen does. Primarily, Lamar Jackson. You put Lamar Jackson lining up behind, you put Derrick Henry lining up behind Josh Allen, the Bills would be undefeated this year. If Josh Allen had Derrick Henry, the Bills would be undefeated this year. Numbers would be even better. You couldn't cover anybody down the field. So I've got Lamar Jackson at 3, and then I have Joe Burrow at 4. By the way, my MVP pick, Josh Allen. Reason I'm going Josh Allen, Derrick Henry had another amazing game, rushed for, I believe, over 1,900 yards, it's not a coincidence that Lamar Jackson had the greatest passing season of his career with Derrick Henry to hand off to. I talked about this, I think, on Friday's show. Derrick Henry was so good, he made Ryan Tannehill $100 million. Ryan Tannehill has never had any success in the NFL of any substantial degree without being able to hand off to Derrick Henry. He starts being able to hand off to Derrick Henry. Play action pass has to be respected by the entire defense. Third down conversions, big-time playmaking. Remember, Ryan Tannehill won multiple playoff games barely throwing for any yards at all because the one year the Titans went to the AFC Championship, Derrick Henry was the engine driving that offense. And the same thing is true. As good as Lamar Jackson has been, he's been great this year. Derrick Henry is what has taken him to the next level, in my opinion, as a passer, in the same way that it did for Ryan Tannehill. So no disrespect to Lamar Jackson. You guys heard me break down, in my opinion, there's no doubt, the four best quarterbacks in the NFL right now, in order, in my opinion: Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, and Joe Burrow. Those, to me, beyond a shadow of a doubt, are the four best quarterbacks in the NFL. Now, you can argue with my order. Certainly you can say, hey, Clay, Joe Burrow, can you imagine if he had Andy Reid as a coach? Really good question. You can say, hey, Josh Allen, can you imagine what he would be capable of if he were able to hand off to Derrick Henry? You can say Patrick Mahomes. Guy's already won 3 Super Bowls and 3 MVPs. He doesn't even have a healthy receiver this year. Can you imagine what he would be capable of if he were handing off to Derrick Henry? All of those could be worthy of argument, which is why I think you can make an argument in any direction for the top 4. All those guys, by the way, under 30 years old. Some of you out there, you're like, well, what about Jalen Hurts? What about Jaden Daniels? What about Jared Goff? What about Matthew Stafford? Whoever you want to toss into the equation, you are readily able and capable of making those arguments. But to me, you really can't. The Mount Rushmore, in no particular order, although this is my direct order: Mahomes, Allen, Lamar, and Joe Burrow, beyond a shadow of a doubt, 4 best quarterbacks, which is why I was kind of hoping the Bengals were going to make the playoffs instead of the Broncos. No disrespect to Bo Nix, Sean Payton, Denver Broncos. It's been a while since the Broncos were in the postseason. But the Kansas City Chiefs laid down, and I think they did it because they were perfectly fine not having the Cincinnati Bengals into the postseason. And I think if you're asking anybody out there, would you rather play the Broncos and Bo Nix, or would you rather play the way that they're playing right now, Joe Burrow and the Bengals? I think almost everybody out there would say they would rather play Bo Nix and the Broncos. Doesn't mean that the Broncos don't deserve to be there. The Bengals lost a lot. Bad games start the season. They had to win their final 5 to even put themselves in a position to potentially make the playoffs. They were 4-8, if I'm not mistaken. But I think the Bengals in the playoffs as the 7 seed would have been a better watch against the 2 seed than I do with the Broncos in.